Look, Vortex. He's naked. He's naked. And he's so much happier and freer. I hear his name's Patrick. His real name is Patrick. That's his government name. But his street name is Stoney, because he looks like he's high all the time. Don't you, friend? Don't you, friend? Just look at those eyes. Look at that smile. He's stoned out of his mind. And propaganda's always high too. Aren't you, baby? You don't have to grow up, okay? You don't. You don't have to grow up. You can retain that childlike quality and make a lot of really silly decisions that the general public doesn't understand and will probably yell at you for. You know, I just did a poster last night where I was I just did a poster last night. Well, I did two posters last night, actually. One says, "Are you aware and do you care?" I was gonna make it a two-for poster where I do like the double-sided poster, but I want y'all to see this. Where the fuck are they going? Where the fuck are they going? You see this? Isn't it so funny? When somebody has their turn signal on for an extended period of time, and I guess they don't notice because they have phone brains, so they don't notice much of anything. Maybe their music's all really loud and they can't hear the turn signal. Okay, good. I guess they heard me talking about them. Like, I can sense that beat up Mini Cooper behind me is talking mad shit about this turn signal that I haven't turned off. I'm sure that was it. I'm sure they got really self-conscious. Anyway, I'm a self-conscious driver. I am. It does make me a better driver, though. Isn't that funny? Shit. Anyway. So, yeah, I did that poster. Are you aware and do you care? And I did that for the purpose of helping people understand that a lot of people don't have that capacity. So they're either not aware of a problem that they have, or they don't care enough about the problem to solve it. So, the easiest way to talk about this is through addiction. A coworker of mine came up to me recently and asked me to help our other coworkers with their obvious alcohol problems. And I said to her, they're gonna have to hit bottom. And she didn't understand that because she's not an alcoholic. She's one of these people that, you know, she either waits till she gets home to drink, or maybe she parties on the weekends, but she doesn't have to have it, nor does she want it all the time. And she definitely doesn't come to work smelling like booze. So she doesn't get it. Now, my boss is fine because he owns the restaurant and he can do whatever he wants. He's stable. You know, he's one of those functioning alcoholic types that we're all so very jealous of. But, there are other people that I work with that are not functioning alcoholics, but they're trying real hard. The one that tried to slit his wrist, he came back. And I don't even think they got that story right either. Because he didn't have cuts on his wrist. He had cuts like on the outside of his arm. So I don't think he's so fucking ridiculously inebriated or far gone from reality that he doesn't know where his wrists are, you know? But he seemed like he was in good spirits, but I know it's because they upped his medication. Whenever the effects of his medication wear off, he's going to be back in the same place that he was before. And he'll probably end up drinking again because he's fixing to go to jail for like 4 months. So I know that's a large part of why he's probably drinking a lot. Because a lot of people that make a mistake can't just accept that they made a mistake and own it. It's like they have to double, triple, quadruple, quintuple down, you know, and I really do get that. I'm just not there anymore. I mean, with alcohol, I was so fucking blessed to have a bottom that was pretty damn low. And it was so low that I was afraid to get any lower. I was afraid that if I got any lower, I would be dead. So that is definitely a blessing. But, yeah, so back to the original thing that I'm talking about. Are you aware and do you care? There are plenty of people that are aware that they have a problem, but do they care enough to solve the problem? Do they care enough to be uncomfortable for however long they have to be uncomfortable without the thing that they've been used to having in order to get better, in order to improve their life, in order to do something that would make them 1,000 times more content than they think they are with the thing that they've convinced themselves they can't live without. So this other dude I work with that comes to work smelling like booze, he's thinking that if he switches jobs, he's not going to drink as much. Now, if he's truly alcoholic, that's not going to happen. I mean, if he is successful, it'll only be for a short period of time, and then it'll be worse. And then he'll probably just end up coming back to the job that he has now, where he can get away with being a drunk. But are you aware and do you care? You can't be aware for somebody else, and you can't care for somebody else. You know, they have to do it themselves or it won't work. If they attempt to do it for another person, they attempt to do it to save a marriage, keep their children, keep a job, not get kicked out of their house. That will only work for a very short period of time. And that person's not even going to be enjoyable to be around anyway, because they're still going to be a dry drunk or whatever it was they're addicted to. They're going to be without it. And if they don't have a good spiritual substitute, they're just going to resent that person, place, or thing that they're trying not to lose. But I did another poster that's kind of in relation to this one. Sometimes I'll quote an entire Bible verse, but if the Bible verse is too long, I guess I could just do one of those big ass posters like the one I did for the LGBT community. But I don't know, I still think that this is too long to put on a poster. But it's from Matthew chapter 12, verses 43 through 45. And it's talking about unclean spirits. And there's a kind of a, I don't know if it's a slogan or it's like sort of the motto of like the 12 steps is trust God, clean house, help others. If you don't trust God, it's going to be fairly difficult to clean house, and if you don't help others, keeping that house clean is going to be fairly difficult. So since the 12 steps were taken from Christian principles, it makes sense what this Bible verse, well, it's 3 verses technically, what it essentially talks about is how if you have a spirit and it's removed, but you go back to that same house and the spirit isn't there anymore, it's not going to make sense to you. You know, you're going to feel empty. You're going to feel without. And because you don't understand why that original spirit was there, you're going to end up picking up several more spirits. I believe it was 7 more spirits. And it states that the last state of that man is worse than the first. So I'll show you the poster later when I get home. But yeah, if you don't clean house and understand yourself. So I think that what a big part of the problem is that people don't, like, they just want the problem to be remedied. They don't want to think about the problem. They don't want to, like, reflect on it. And I think that's why alcoholics stay alcoholics. Because they don't want to get down to the bottom of, like, why they are an alcoholic. You know? They just want to either not be an alcoholic or figure out a way to be a functioning alcoholic. That's what I was trying to do. I knew that I was never not going to be an alcoholic, so I was like, well, at least let's try to make this semi-functional. But yeah, you got to understand why you have the problems that you have. Because if you don't, well, that same problem is just going to come right back, more than likely. But you're going to accumulate a lot of other problems that are going to strongly resemble the first problem, only they're going to be worse, you know? But I think that this kind of work is really painful for a lot of people because they don't want to, you know, accept whatever the trauma was. they're essentially kind of sort of doing that, but in a backwards way. So they're proving that they were traumatized. They're proving that they're not cool with their childhood. They're not cool with their parents. They're not cool with their siblings. I mean, it's like women that wear makeup. They're just proving that they're insecure. People that talk endlessly about identity are proving that they're insecure. People that revolve their entire life around one thing, whether it's their job or it's their political views or it's, you know, something that they think gives their life so much meaning, but it's really just sort of a distraction. And I see people do this with religion. I try to use my religion as a stepping stone. I try to use it as like guidance, you know? Like it's sort of like a playbook, an outline of like how I should adjust myself. But, you know, a lot of people use things as an escape because they don't... Oh! They don't know how to accept certain facts. But I don't need to tell you guys any of this shit, but I tell you this shit over and over again, don't I? Like, it's probably annoying, isn't it? Well, I assume if it's annoying, you're probably no longer here, right? You're like, fuck that annoying bitch. There are so many better YouTube channels I could be watching than this philosophical banter. Anyway. Am I within the lines? Am I within the lines? Let's see. Yay! Little Thelonious just crashed. He's a lot like mommy. Oh. Oh. Yeah, but you see this a lot with like people that just keep putting themselves in the same situation over and over again. Or it's like they just find a new, seemingly different way to make the same mistake. I don't know. I really hope I'm not like all these people I complain about. But at least I know that I can't change certain people, you know? It's like, why would you bother trying to help somebody that doesn't want to help themselves? You know, like somebody that is obviously not. Sorry, I spilled coffee in my car once again. If I didn't spill something, I just wasn't even there. You know? It's like I tell them at work, like if I didn't make a mess, I didn't show up today. But anyway, yeah, so it's like if you're insisting on something happening for somebody else, you know, whether it's like, oh, you need to do this, you need to go here and work this job, or you need to write this novel, or you need to quit this crippling addiction that you have, you need to leave this person, you need to go out with this person, you need to have a baby, you need to stop having babies because you're already living off the government. You know, like, stop giving people advice like that aren't listening. You know, they will come to you if they want your input. You know, they will come to you. I'm a firm believer of that. You know, you don't push anything on people. You have to have what people want, and if they don't want it, then they're not going to seek it. Like I said, you can't make people be aware of something, and you can't make people care about something that they don't care about. You know? And if you can't understand that, then that's your fucking problem.